Go on.
Welcome to You Can Play the Flute. Now, I have an arrangement of flutes here. I'm going to cover each one. This is the traditional Native American flute. The fennel, of course, is the wolf. It's a softer sound, completely softer sound than the others. A completely different soft sound. It has one drawback. One, it will be affected by the humidity in the room, and you'll get it like a woofy sound, which I get with this at the moment. See how low it is? It's a very woofy sound. That's because of the humidity. I said it just now I can't think of it. The atmosphere in the room, cold, heat, it all affects the traditional Native American flute. So, this is my sacred flute. I very seldom play that. The one you've often seen me play, which I will be teaching on the site with, is the backpacker's flute. This is in F sharp, and it follows the heart chakra. It's a lot sharper, but you have to control breath control. And it is not a hard flute to play, but it's not my favourite. I play this one because it's in F sharp, and if I'm healing at all, I like to use this particular flute. Now those that I recommend is this one. This is in the key of C. It's a lot shorter than the F sharp. The sound quality is superb. The man who made this spent years and his own money developing this from the Native American flute. It's crisp, clear, and it's not even affected by damp out. Damp out or wet out is when condensation builds here and moisture occurs. If this occurs, you give it a shake like this, get all the moisture out. It's a different sound. I don't know what you knocked on the floor.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Go on.
It plays a lot crisper. Those that wish to buy synthetic flutes, this is the one I would recommend. It's the only flute I would recommend because it's not as long. It can be shoved in a handbag, be shoved in a coat pocket, shoved in a backpack, can be played anywhere. It's robust, it's safe, it's near enough indestructible. And the man who made it has put a lot of work into it. And as you hear, it is a beautiful flute. This is truly my favourite one of the three. I will be getting a drone flute eventually. Now the drone flute, when you play, the drone flute gives a background noise. So if you're doing a solo piece, it'll accompany the flute without having other musicians. So this is the flute that I would recommend. There's also my Valentine's Day Prezi. This is made of ABS. The white one, however, is made of PVC. The wood one, of course. You got it, it's made of wood. Now as we go along, I'll be teaching on the white one, because most of you will have the white one. And I'll be teaching on that. The main thing you've got to think about is breath control. There's no good you breathing and blowing hard into this flute, because if you do, this is what happens. Now if I blow hard, that's the noise you get, not what you want. So when you're down here, when all holes are closed, breathe very, very soft. And as you increase, you can increase the amount of breath that goes in. Until you get to the top notes, which are open note, which you can blow as hard as you like. But the breath control is important. Concentrate on keeping, I teach differently than most flute players, keep the third hole covered. For this exercise, what we are doing, that's the best way to do it. So you keep that hole covered. Now if you do want a half note, here's your half note. You can lift up the third note, keeping the two top ones covered. Now a lot of flute, you can play it that way, you can learn that way, or you can learn the other way, which is but I was always taught to keep your third finger, your third finger on the third hole, and you won't go far wrong, because the scale is platonic and it follows. Now, because you've got an open end to the flute, rest it, the lower lip, on the bottom of the flute. And half close your lips and seal it with the top half of your mouth here. This will, don't try and stick the whole fucking thing in your mouth. You can't play like that. Trust me. So You just do it that way. Well, that'll be the end of this brief introduction to the Native American flute. I should say an hour to 2 hours you could play. Don't try and play Western music on it, please. The Native American flute was not designed for that. It was designed to play from the heart. So when you learn, you close your eyes. And you hit notes that you like. Now, sometimes the notes will fluff out. That's because you had wet out here. So you get the flute, do this. Get rid of the moisture inside. Yeah, there's moisture in there now. That's because it's cold and the hot air causes condensation, so it'll fluff out. It's also, this one would tend to be subject to humidity. That can fluff it too. But I find sometimes in the morning it's fluffed out. I have difficulty playing it, whereas this one I don't. And I have to wait. The central heating goes on, the room gets warm, and it plays like a dream. Okay, well, I think Adrian's going to give me a shout in a minute and tell me
Now you've got a minute and 54 seconds left.
Wow! So, I hope you enjoyed this introduction to the Native American flute. There are many flutes I can go to in this, such as the bass flute, which is fairly big. Now, F sharp and C major, they play perfect together in harmony. Funny enough, most of them do play perfectly well and in harmony with each other. Thank you for listening to me. Enjoy, practice, take about an hour, get used to where your fingers are going and try to use the pads, not the tips of your fingers. Use the pads of the fingers on the holes and make sure each hole is covered. That's it for today. Thank you. Namaste.